Statement from Buckingham Palace confirming the Queen's condition. It simply reads, Her Majesty the Queen is currently unwell with a chest infection for which her doctors have advised a short period of rest.
Behind the palace gates, whispers are turning into full-blown alarm bells because things aren't looking good for Queen Camilla. From mounting health concerns to growing tensions within the royal family, insiders say the pressure is reaching a breaking point. Public opinion is shifting. Old scandals are resurfacing, and even King Charles appears deeply worried. Is the Queen Consort's royal reign unraveling before our eyes? The signs are everywhere, but few dare to speak them out loud, until now. Buckle up, because what's happening behind the scenes is far more dramatic than you think. 3 in this marriage, the hidden truth behind Diana's heartbreak. In the grand halls of British royalty, appearances are everything. Gleaming crowns, sweeping ceremonies, carefully curated smiles. But beneath the surface, the story was far less polished. And no one exposed that hidden truth quite like Princess Diana. In her explosive 1995 BBC interview, Diana didn't raise her voice or point fingers. She didn't have to. One chilling sentence said it all. There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
With that quiet admission, she confirmed what had long been whispered in tabloids and tea rooms across the world. Her marriage to Prince Charles was never hers alone. From the very beginning, Diana sensed that someone else held a place in Charles's heart, that someone was Camilla Parker Bowles. To the outside world, Camilla was just an old flame, a harmless figure from Charles's past. But to Diana, she was the ever-present shadow that loomed over her life, chipping away at her once-believed fairy tale. Millions watched as the beautiful, soft-spoken Diana graced global stages with charm and grace. But behind palace walls, she was a woman isolated, emotionally battered, and trapped in a life scripted by duty rather than love. She wasn't just the Princess of Wales. She was a symbol of heartbreak wrapped in satin and sapphire. And yet, the deeper story wasn't just about infidelity. There were darker undertones, far more chilling than a love triangle. Diana lived with constant unease, confiding in close friends and staff that she feared not just betrayal, but danger. Real, physical danger. Her trusted butler, Paul Burrell, would later reveal a haunting letter written by Diana in 1996, just a year before her untimely death. The words were enough to make the hairs on your neck stand. My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure and serious head injury, to make the path clear for him to marry Camilla. Pause and consider that. This wasn't a diary musing or a dramatized complaint. This was a direct warning, written by the princess herself, foretelling a scenario that would unfold with terrifying precision. One might argue it was paranoia, the result of mounting stress. But if so, why did the events that followed so closely match the very fear she described? At the time, Diana's cries for help were dismissed by many. Her mental health was questioned, and her warnings were minimized. And yet, in the quiet corners of Kensington Palace, she knew something wasn't right. The lavish dinners, red carpet events, and global admiration couldn't silence the inner alarm bells. She often told friends she felt like she was being watched, manipulated, and even targeted. To her, the royal life was not a fairy tale, it was a carefully built trap, a golden cage dressed in pearls and protocol. Then came the night of August 31st, 1997. A Paris tunnel, a black Mercedes speeding away from paparazzi. The crash that ended it all. The world stopped as news of her death swept across continents. Candle-lit vigils lined the gates of Kensington. Grown men wept. The people's princess was gone. The official cause? A high-speed chase? A drunk driver? A tragic accident? But for those who remembered that letters, those 9 chilling words, "My husband is planning an accident in my car," the explanation never felt complete. And the aftermath? Even more disturbing. Diana was gone. Charles was no longer bound to her, and years later, he married the very woman Diana believed had dismantled her marriage. Today, Camilla sits beside him as Queen Consort. The horrific murder of Princess Diana. But could her death have been more than a horrific accident? What evil secrets hid behind the official account? Stay with us. Diana's final night. Fate, fear, or a deadly setup. On the night of August 31st, 1997, the world stood still. News broke that Princess Diana, the woman affectionately known as the People's Princess, had been killed in a devastating car crash in Paris.
From our very own Foreign Secretary, Robin Cook, who's in the Far East at the moment, that Diana, Princess of Wales, has in fact been killed in that car accident.
The tragedy unfolded inside the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, a name that would forever echo with sorrow. Diana wasn't alone that night. Riding beside her was Dodi Fayed, the son of wealthy businessman Mohammed Al-Fayed. Their vehicle, a sleek black Mercedes, was fleeing from a swarm of paparazzi hungry for the ultimate photo, one that would fetch millions. But within seconds, everything changed. The car lost control, slammed into a pillar, and crumpled into a wreck of twisted metal and shattered glass. The crash was brutal. Dodi and the driver, Henri Paul, died instantly. Diana was still alive, but barely. She was rushed to the hospital, but the injuries were too severe. By the early hours of the morning, she was gone. The world plunged into shock. Official reports painted a straightforward, if tragic, story. The driver had alcohol in his system, they said. He was speeding. The paparazzi had chased the car relentlessly. The cause of death, they claimed, was reckless, driving fueled by poor decisions and pressure from photographers. But almost immediately, questions began to rise. Why was a hotel security officer with a blood alcohol level 3 times the legal limit behind the wheel? Why did the car take a route so riddled with risk, especially while trying to avoid the press? And why were CCTV cameras inside the tunnel mysteriously not functioning that night? For many, Diana's death didn't feel like a tragic accident. It felt like a carefully masked event, hiding something deeper. Diana wasn't just a royal figurehead. She had become a global icon, beloved not just for her beauty or title, but for her heart. She broke royal protocol. She reached out to AIDS patients when others wouldn't. She stood in active minefields to advocate for victims of war. She hugged the homeless, comforted the grieving, and used her voice for those who had none. She was rewriting what it meant to be royal. And that scared people. After her explosive divorce from Prince Charles, Diana became a woman on her own terms. She was independent, outspoken, and unfiltered, a rarity in royal circles. She spoke of feeling watched. She told close friends she was being followed. And then came the letter. In it, she confessed something chilling. She believed there was a plan to tamper with her car, to stage an accident, all so that someone, likely Charles, could remarry. At the time, many brushed it off as paranoia. But after her death, those words felt hauntingly prophetic. As her body was flown back to London, a wave of grief swept across the globe. Outside Kensington Palace, mountains of flowers grew by the hour. People wept openly. Strangers embraced. The funeral was broadcast to millions. Elton John's reworked Candle in the Wind played through tears and silence, honoring a woman who had touched the world.
The candle and the wind, never fading with the sunset.
Yet grief soon turned to suspicion. Was Diana's death the result of unfortunate timing and poor judgment? Or had someone, somewhere, decided she knew too much? or had simply become too powerful. Some whispered that her romance with Dodi, an Egyptian Muslim, didn't sit well with certain royal or political figures. Others believed she had uncovered secrets that powerful people didn't want to be exposed. Whatever the reason, the idea that Diana's death was no accident refuses to die, even decades later. But perhaps the most unsettling twist came years after her passing, when the very woman Diana saw as the third person in her marriage, Camilla Parker Bowles, quietly rose to take her place. In 2005, Camilla married Prince Charles, and in time she became queen. To many, it felt like a full circle, but not the kind that brings peace, rather one that leaves lingering doubt. Camilla's rise to the throne, destiny, or a dark plot? At first, this idea might seem outlandish, like something straight out of a thriller. But what if we paused for a moment and looked at the facts, the events that unfolded in the years before Diana's tragic death? The affair between Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles was not just a scandal. It was a bombshell that shook the very foundations of the British monarchy. Their secret relationship, hidden for years, eventually exploded into the public eye, leaving a trail of controversy and making any future for them together nearly impossible. Royal tradition, which upheld the monarchy's image, forbade a future king from marrying a divorced woman. Diana, Charles's first wife, was still very much alive, and in the eyes of the royal family and much of Britain, Charles' relationship with Camilla could never be legitimized. It seemed like an unbridgeable gap, one that had no solution. But then, something happened that no one could have predicted: Diana's death. The news of Princess Diana's tragic passing in 1997 sent shockwaves through the world. People were left in disbelief, struggling to comprehend the loss of the people's princess, as she was affectionately known. Her death, though tragic, would mark the beginning of a major shift in the royal dynamics. In the years following Diana's passing, Camilla, who had once been vilified as the homewrecker, began to re-enter Charles's life more publicly. She transitioned from a woman condemned by the public to a figure who would soon become an integral part of Charles's life, once thought impossible, but now a reality. By 2005, Camilla and Charles were married. She didn't take the title of Princess of Wales, out of respect perhaps for Diana's memory, but also likely because the public was simply not ready for that. Despite this, her position as a powerful figure in the royal family became undeniable. Fast forward to 2022, and Camilla was officially declared Queen Consort, solidifying her position as the wife of King Charles III. This was a woman once thought unsuitable for royalty, now occupying the very place in history that had once seemed out of reach for her. But here's the most intriguing part. Had Diana not passed away, would Charles and Camilla ever have had a legitimate chance to rewrite royal history? Before Diana's death, royal customs held that Charles could never marry Camilla as long as his ex-wife was alive. Diana's presence alone made such a marriage impossible. However, with Diana gone, that royal tradition no longer applied. Suddenly, what had been an impossible dream for Charles and Camilla became entirely feasible. Now pause for a moment and let that sink in. Had Diana survived, would Charles and Camilla have ever been able to marry, let alone rise to the positions they hold now? Would the monarchy have allowed such a relationship to develop? Or did fate, or something much more deliberate, intervene to make it possible? If there was a motive behind it all, could it be ignored? Diana's death opened up doors that had previously been closed. It cleared a path that allowed Charles and Camilla to marry, and eventually for Camilla to be crowned Queen Consort. But that still leaves us with a chilling question. Was this just an unfortunate twist of fate, or was there something more sinister at play? What if Diana's death was not merely an accident, but the result of a much darker plot? Theories have run rampant for decades, some more valid than others, as to what caused Diana's death. What if her untimely death was a result of something more than a simple car accident or staged in an attempt to remove her from the picture? The idea is nauseating, but if you do the math with the timing, the questions start to pile up. Diana's death. Conspiracy theories. Murder or misfortune? The death of Princess Diana on that fateful night in 1997 has long been a topic that stirs strong emotions and fuels endless theories. The tragic car crash in Paris, which claimed the life of the beloved princess, quickly became a focal point for speculation. What was initially seen as a heart-wrenching accident soon blossomed into a storm of controversy, with the whispers of foul play gaining momentum as time passed. One of the most chilling pieces of evidence that emerged after Diana's death was a letter she reportedly wrote months before the accident. In this note, Diana expressed a terrifying fear for her life, saying that she suspected someone might tamper with her car's brakes or even stage an accident that would lead to her death. To many, these words were not just a paranoid rambling, but a warning, a premonition of what was to come. The haunting message only deepened suspicions that Diana had sensed something ominous on the horizon, and that her fears were not without reason. Was she being hunted by unseen forces? Perhaps to silence her once and for all. Diana's relationship with Dodi Fayed, the son of Egyptian billionaire Mohammed al-Fayed, only intensified the controversy. Their affair challenged royal expectations, as Diana, who separated from Prince Charles, was romantically involved with a Muslim man. This unprecedented relationship sparked rumors that powerful figures may have sought to prevent it from progressing. Mohammed al-Fayed, whose son and Diana died that night, has consistently maintained that the deaths were not an accident. He strongly believes that the pair were deliberately targeted in an elaborate assassination plot. According to him, there were forces at play who would stop at nothing to prevent an unacceptable union from taking root, and these forces were willing to go to any lengths to make sure it didn't happen. But even after countless investigations by authorities in both France and Britain, no definitive evidence of foul play has ever surfaced. The official story continues to be that Diana's death was the result of reckless driving, caused by a driver who was intoxicated and trying to escape the flashbulbs of pursuing paparazzi. Yet despite the official narrative, many remain unconvinced. The lack of solid proof has done little to dissuade the belief that something darker is lurking just beneath the surface. This doubt is only amplified by the nature of Diana's life in the royal family. As an outsider who had captivated the world with her charm and beauty, Diana's relationship with the monarchy quickly soured. Her marriage to Prince Charles had fallen apart in front of the whole world, and she had become a voice of dissent against the stifling traditions of royal life. She was no longer just a princess, but a global figure with a massive platform. Her humanitarian efforts and advocacy for causes such as AIDS, awareness, landmine removal, and homelessness had made her a beloved figure, but also, to some, a powerful threat to the monarchy. Was Diana becoming too influential? Too uncontrollable? Had she outgrown the role she was expected to play? Fast forward to today, and history has taken an ironic twist. The very individuals who were once at the heart of the scandal surrounding Diana, Prince Charles and now Queen Camilla, are now sitting on the throne. The monarchy that Diana once hoped to change now finds itself evolving without her presence. And as time marches on, the mystery surrounding her untimely death has not faded away. It still lingers in the minds of millions around the world, who continue to ask themselves, was her death truly a tragic accident, or was it something more sinister? A carefully orchestrated event designed to silence a woman who refused to be tamed by the monarchy. Royal secrets. Uncovered. The truth about Queen Camilla's troubles. Whispers of scandal have long echoed through the halls of Buckingham Palace, but few stories have rattled the British monarchy like the quiet storm surrounding Queen Camilla. What began as hushed suspicion slowly escalated into a full-blown crisis, one that not only shook the royal family, but also appeared to take a personal toll on the Queen herself. After her official crowning, Queen Camilla was expected to step into her new role with grace and dignity. But soon after donning the crown, reports began surfacing that Camilla had allegedly taken a troubling interest in the late Queen Elizabeth II's colossal estate, worth an estimated £28 billion. Royal insiders claim she was not content with ceremonial titles or public appearances. Instead, she allegedly attempted to reclassify parts of the estate, seeking to redirect certain assets for her benefit. Even more alarming were the alleged threats she made behind palace walls. According to sources close to the family, Camilla hinted at revealing deeply guarded royal secrets if she didn't get her way. For King Charles, this was a painful betrayal. He had spent decades defending his relationship with Camilla against public scrutiny and had once believed her love for him was genuine. But now, it seemed her loyalty lay with influence and financial gain. Tensions within the royal circle grew sharper when Princess Anne, Charles's fiercely loyal sister and a staunch critic of Camilla's rise, was injured in a mysterious riding accident. Anne, known for her equestrian skills and careful nature, rarely took risks. So when she was thrown from her horse during a solo ride, palace staff couldn't help but raise eyebrows. Whispers began circulating that the incident may not have been entirely accidental. Though no evidence surfaced linking Camilla directly to the event, the timing was suspicious enough to ignite internal investigations and widen the rift between Charles and his queen. It wasn't long before Charles made a bold move. In a rare and unprecedented decision, he stripped Camilla of several royal duties and restricted her appearances to Clarence House. The official reason was not disclosed, but many saw it as a silent acknowledgement of the brewing scandal. Then came another twist, this time a health scare. Shortly after being confined to Clarence House, Queen Camilla began missing a series of key royal engagements. Initially, the palace reported she was recovering from a chest infection. But as the weeks dragged on, her absence became harder to ignore. She pulled out of the Remembrance Day ceremony in November, skipped the royal variety performance, and was notably absent from the welcoming ceremony for the Emir of Qatar in December. Though Buckingham Palace tried to downplay concerns, stating she was simply recovering, speculation swirled. Some believed the stress from the allegations and the fallout with Charles had taken a toll on her physical and emotional health. In private conversations, Camilla admitted to ongoing fatigue and lingering symptoms, saying, "You think you got rid of it, and it just sort of hangs on." The Queen's voice was thinner, and her public energy dimmed. What was once a confident presence had grown quieter, more subdued. She canceled appearances, adjusted her schedule, and leaned heavily on medical advice to rest. Meanwhile, Charles continues his royal duties, often appearing alone, leaving many to wonder whether Camilla will recover, not just from her physical illness, but from the public and private damage now shadowing her reign. Was her health a coincidence? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.